Welcome back to SSL TLS episode 21. I am Saravanan, learning along with you. So if you remember, in the past episode we learned about Diffie-Hellman key exchange, right? So today we are going to see another example, a numeric example using the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. On the right side of the window I have opened a Python idle shell. Okay, if you have installed Python on Windows or Linux or even Mac, you will get this Python shell. So I am going to calculate this thing. So let's do a very simple numerical example to understand the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. As I already mentioned, Bob initially generates the domain parameter prime number p. Usually in real life the prime number p is going to be very large prime number like 2048 bits, etc. But here for simplicity we are going to take the prime as 23. Okay, and we are going to use the generator as I just took some values randomly. So g equal to 5 I am going to take randomly, but in real life most of the time g it will be 2. Okay, this is just for demo purpose. I just randomly took two values. Alice is choosing her private key a equal to 6, and Bob is choosing his private key b equal to 15. Okay, now Bob is going to calculate his public key b equal to, as we all know, the public key is nothing but g power b mod p. Mod in Python is represented using the percentage symbol. Okay, mod p. So b value is going to be 19. We have received b value as 19. Then Bob will send his g, p and b value in server key exchange message to client. Now client will calculate her a. A is the public key, which is nothing but g power a modulus p. Okay, so we got a value as 8. A value as 8. Now Alice will compute the key from her point of view. The key is going to be b power a. It's going to be b power a modulus p. Okay, so the value is going to be 2. That is the shared secret. Bob is also computing key k from his point of view, which is nothing but a power b mod p. Okay, which is equal to 2. Thus both Alice and Bob will end up with the exact same secret. Both will end up with the exact same secret equal to 2. So this is a very quick numerical example using the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. They then use the shared secret to encrypt or decrypt. Of course, in TLS we don't directly use the shared secret. We use this to generate further secrets. Okay, in TLS we do not directly use the shared secret to encrypt or decrypt. We use this secret as an intermediate key. From this we generate further keys. Okay, now let us watch how the server key exchange and client key exchange appears in a real packet capture. Here I have a real packet capture, so I am filtering with the keyword TLS on Wireshark. So the very first packet is the client hello packet. The second packet is server hello. In this particular example, the server has decided to use the TLS Diffie-Hellman ephemeral with the RSA for authentication. For block cipher it is using AES with the key size 128 and mode of operation as GCM with the HMAC MAC algorithm as HMAC SHA-256. Then the server is as usual sending the certificate message for server authentication. Client will verify the certificate, followed by server sending the server key exchange. So this is the message that we want to take a look. So if you notice this, inside it is sending Diffie-Hellman parameter. The length of the prime number is 256 bytes. As we already saw, 256 times 8 equal to 256 times 8, because that is bytes, right? You want to convert them into bit. So 256 times 8 is going to be 2048 bit prime number. So it's a 2048 bit prime number. The value of the prime number is very long number. It is made up of 256 hexadecimal digits. Okay, the generator value is integer number 2, and it calculated the public value. The length of the public value is same as the length of the prime number. Okay, so the public key value length is also 2048 bit. The Bob b uppercase b equal to this value. This is the uppercase b value. Okay, and as I mentioned in the previous episode, this value, there is a possibility that the man in the middle can tamper this value. So it will create a hash of this value and sign the hash value. So this is the signature of this hash. Okay, for hash it has used SHA-512. For calculating the signature, it has used the RSA for the signature algorithm. using the algorithm public key cryptography standard version 1. Okay, it has used that algorithm to calculate the signature. For hashing, it has used SA 512. So this is the signature. The client already know the server certificate. From that, it will know the public key of the server. So using the public key, it will verify the signature. Once upon verification, the client will also send a client key exchange message. So this is the client key exchange message. In the client key exchange, it is also sending the Diffie-Hellman key length parameter inside. Public key length the same as what the server has sent, that is 2048 bits. The public key uppercase A, Alice public key uppercase A is sent here. Okay, so that's the end of the key exchange. At the end of this message, both sides will send the chain cipher message. Okay, that means it has already know the key, so it is ready to start the encryption. So that's why it's sending the chain cipher spec message. Chain cipher spec means now I am going to plain text to encrypted text mode I am entering. That is the meaning of chain cipher spec. So hereafter every message is going to be encrypted message. That is the meaning of chain cipher spec. Server will also send a chain cipher spec and switch to encrypted the so-called encrypted mode. So this is from a real packet capture. You learned how the Diffie-Hellman key exchange is working. The security of the Diffie-Hellman key exchange is based on what is called a discrete logarithm problem. So let us quickly see what this discrete logarithm problem means. We already know Alice and Bob. At the beginning, Bob generates two parameters called domain parameter, as well as he creates his own private key. Then he calculates his public key using the formula G power B mod P. Then in the server key exchange message, this fellow sends the three parameters G, P as well as the B, right? Then Alice will calculate her private key, and she also Alice will create a private key, and she calculates her public key using the formula G power A mod P, and subsequently in the client key exchange message, she sends her public key A. Okay, she sends her public key A. So at the end of that, both parties will generate their own key. It so happens both key will be exactly equal, right? That we already saw previously. Now, if you have to break this algorithm, either you have to calculate A or you have to calculate B. I already told you this A and B are nothing but private keys. This A and B are nothing but private keys. Okay. So here if we already know that A is nothing but G power A mod P. That means if you want to calculate the private key A, what you have to do is you take log on both sides, log of A to the base G mod P. Okay, log of A to the base G mod P. So this is how you will mathematically calculate the value of A given G, P and A. Okay, given G, P and A, this is how you will mathematically calculate the value of A. But if you take P long enough, for example, if you take P value as 2048 bit prime number, calculating this is nearly impossible. It's going to take thousands and thousands of years. Okay, this problem is called discrete logarithm problem in mathematics. Discrete logarithm problem in mathematics. So the very foundation of Diffie-Hellman key exchange is based on the security of or unsolvability of discrete logarithm problem in real life. Okay, so given let's say you have a channel here where Alice and Bob is communicating. If a hacker is sitting in between, what are the things the hacker can see? From the server key exchange message, the hacker can see G, P and B. From the client key exchange message, the hacker can see A, right? So hacker know all these four parameters. So is it possible for the hacker to either break A or B? If he can break one of these, he can learn the shared secret K. Okay. So A is a discrete logarithm problem. Solving B is again a discrete logarithm problem. So not possible in human lifetime. It's going to take thousands and thousands of years. Okay. So given G, P and A, it is easy to calculate the public key A. But given G, P and the public key A, if somebody asks you to calculate the private key, it is literally impossible in our human lifetime because that security depends on this one-way function and it is the discrete logarithm problem. Okay. So discrete logarithm problem here is acting as the one-way function. One way it is super easy to calculate the public key, but given the public key to calculate the private key is near impossible. Okay. So that's the theoretical foundation behind the security of the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. It strongly depends on the discrete logarithm problem. Let's say in some day, if a quantum computer comes, it is possible using quantum computer to solve the discrete logarithm problem. So if someday if you have a sufficiently big enough quantum number which can handle 2048 bit, then it is possible to solve discrete logarithm problem, but it is not going to happen in the near future. Okay, so as of near future, it is good enough, it is safe enough. So I will stop here for this episode. Thank you very much for joining this episode. We will see further topics on the next episode. Thank you very much.